Nestled on the western edge of Port Phillip Bay, an hour and a half's drive from the deadly intrigues of Melbourne, lies Gateway City, the hub of the region, G-Town. For the last 4 decades, an uneasy peace has existed between the Anarchs and Camarilla in G-Town, their borders meeting on Bruce Street in the very centre of the city. The two sects divide the domain neatly in two. The native Anarchs, consolidated in the industrial north, have learned to tolerate Prince Aveline and her Camarilla invaders, and she in turn grants all Anarchs the right to hunt and conduct business in her waterfront domain. Anarch rabble-rousers and Camarilla traditionalists each afford their counterparts a reluctant respect. Until now. Word from Melbourne has reached the kindred of G-Town. Prince Squizzy wages a war on 3 fronts against a newly reorganised Anarch faction, Sabbat infiltrators, and the onslaught of the Second Inquisition. As refugees from both sects flood into Gateway to escape the oncoming chaos, local tensions flare, and the truce that has maintained peace since 1983 will be pushed to its limits. Welcome to Lords of G-Town, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast presented by DM Fiat Podcast, with music by Kevin MacLeod, White Bat Audio, Ivan Duch, and Jaxius Music. Now, as the sun sets on the city and the blood stirs, let's see what horrors the kindred face this night. Welcome back, everyone, to Vampire Lords of G-Town. This is part 3 of Questions of Mercy. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows across the city by the bay, the world transforms. Night awakens, and with it, the creatures of the dark. The city's streets, once bustling with the energy of the day, take on a different, more sinister allure. Let's begin this session, of course, by making a rouse check to see if tonight you awaken hungrier.
This could be really bad.
Marion does not get hungrier.
Marion does not, thankfully.
Are we continuing stats from the previous session?
Yes, yeah. So literally the next night.
Then she's on 3 hunger and down 1 willpower.
You will get your willpower back. Resolve or
Yes.
composure,
Okay,
whichever
yeah.
is the lowest. Yeah.
Cool. 3 hunger then.
How'd Wolf go?
He's okay. He's on hunger 4 and no higher.
He's gonna
That's
need to hunt,
50-50
though, I
chance.
think. He's definitely gonna need to hunt, I think.
Yes, I believe so.
Tig.
Tig got hungrier. He's up to 3, and probably going to visit his herd tonight.
Yeah. How many dots in herd do you have?
2.
2, yeah. So you can go back down to hunger 1 because you haven't used your herd yet this story. And so the first thing Tig does as he awakens is heads out into the paddock in the back, and there, far away from the ambient light of the homestead, shrouded by the long shadows of the trees, he visits his herd, and a couple of the cows are a bit more lethargic tonight. But they give willingly, and to Tig, that's what matters. And, Bouncer, is it time to destroy another mattress?
Yeah. No, not quite. I did fail my rouse check, but that put me up to 4.
4.
Not
Not
close,
quite. So, tonight, you're going to infiltrate Pentex, the Pentex refinery up there in Marsupial. You're going to find the restless spirit of Toby McGrath, Estelle's long-lost touchstone, and put him to rest. And given that Pentex is the domain of Elliot Dawkins, child of the Ventru Primogen and a mover and shaker among the Anarchs, well, mistakes are probably not something you want to make. So I'm going to ask a question, and that question is, who would like to hunt?
Yeah, Marion's gonna hunt.
Well,
Yeah, Wolf
hunt.
will also
Wolf.
be eating tonight.
Wolf will almost certainly hunt, and Bouncer.
Oh yeah.
You'll be a bit late to your meeting with Estelle. A few hours shaved off the night. A bit less time to plan your approach to Pentex, but hey, the night is young. So, let's start with Wolf. Wolf, what does your haven look like? Where do you awaken tonight?
Yeah, Wolf's Haven is a very smart apartment complex. Not the entire complex itself, but the apartment on the top floor. He has special considerations made to ensure that it's very, very private. The elevator only goes up if you press the right key combination, and there's a very advanced security system controlling the entire premises. He does not want anybody in or out unless he says it's okay.
Yeah, the building security know him as Mr. W, and he's got a direct line to the superintendent of the building. He can ask for anything he wants at any time. No one knows what he does. They whisper, they postulate, they speculate. Is he in security? Is he in hospitality? He dresses like a butler, but he has the efficiency of a military man, and in
Drives
the
a
end,
BMW, which a butler will not.
yeah. In the end, everyone comes to the agreement that perhaps it's best to just not wonder at all. That some questions are better left unanswered. There is something about Wolf, something that tells the people of the building, the staff, that he's not someone you want to get on the wrong side of. And so they just let him do his thing. And how does Wolf feed? What is his predator type?
Wolf is a sandman.
Wolf is a sandman. So, Wolf, as one of your benefits of essentially having the security of this building under your thumb, is that you have a master key card. It lets you into any of the apartments of the building and doesn't register in the system any intrusion.
The complicated thing about Wolf's situation is that he will only feed upon those that are in his circle. That is to say, those no criminals.
Indeed.
So he has a number of contacts that he tends to reach out to. Not with them knowing, of course, but his associates are usually who he feeds from.
Yeah. The normal clientele of this apartment building, most of them are most certainly not criminals. They're your socialites, your middle-class investment bankers, your lawyers, your doctors. But there's an apartment on the first floor. It's perpetually vacant, and it serves a very specific purpose. Occasionally, when Wolf anticipates that he's going to need to feed, when he feels the beast stirring, when he feels the pangs of hunger beginning to grow stronger, he consults his list. He picks a contact, and he invites them to take up residence for the night in room 103 on the first floor.
The benefit of being
Go ahead.
being in a apartment that he has control over is he has security cameras and running footage at all times.
Yeah.
He does not and will not be watched feeding.
Yeah, he makes sure that the cameras will not see him feeding. And
Not
This
just
is
the cameras, but the people
the
themselves.
people as well. This is why he chooses. This is why he has this specific method. He always invites them. Spend the night in room 103. They think it's a perk of the job. They think that they're getting a night of luxury and that Wolf's doing them a favor, but it's actually the reverse. So go ahead, Wolf. Make me a dexterity plus stealth check.
That's 3 successes. Blessedly no bestial failure.
Yeah, 3
My
successes.
secret.
It's okay. You're effectively hunting within your own haven. And how many dots in haven do you have?
1.
1. So I'll add an extra success for 4 successes, because room 103 only serves one purpose, and that's to allow you to feed in utmost secrecy to facilitate the process and make it as easy, efficient, and clean as possible. And so you swipe the card and the door silently opens. You creep inside into the luxury suite and follow the sound of Johnny Mercer's snoring in the bedroom. And you find him sprawled across the king-size 4-poster bed. He's kicked the covers off. They're all piled up at the foot of the bed. He hasn't even changed out of his streetwear, and something inside you winces as you see how his mere presence is making this otherwise luxurious room so much less clean. And then creep closer, leaning over him, bare your fangs, and kneel down. He immediately groans, twitches in his sleep, and your left hand, not missing a beat, reaches into your coat, pulls out a rag soaked with chloroform, and presses it up against his mouth. He shudders, fights against the pharmaceuticals, but as always, he succumbs within a few seconds, and then you take what you need. But you are at hunger 4, and as you drink, you're aware of his limp body in your hands, the fact that he is not fighting back, the fact that you could take more, and he would not be able to stop you, and your beast is growling, almost as if you have a heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. You can feel your blood vessels throbbing with each mouthful of blood, and your beast is telling you to go further, more. And so I'd like you to roll a resolve plus composure plus 1/3 of your humanity.
Three successes.
3 successes. Oh, you so want to take more, especially after what you did last night. You covered up the tracks of the whole coterie. At least 10 men dead. And you made them disappear, and it made you so tired. What would be one more? And yet you pull yourself away. Reset your hunger to 1. As you turn and silently exit the room, and Johnny Mercer continues sleeping, unaware. He will awaken in the morning and check out of the building, unaware that anything was taken. And as you return to your own suite, Wolf, you feel your muscles tensing, feel your instincts firing up as you see the door of your suite wide open. Hear the sound of someone rustling through your belongings inside, shifting through the reams of tapes that you have stored in the secret cabinet just opposite your bedroom door.
He draws his knife and presses it deeply into his palm and gently presses the door open further, peeking around the corner to see who's intruded into his very private abode.
There's only one person who knows that Wolf stays here, aside from the staff of the building, and they're under strict orders not to enter between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. There's only one person it could be. You push the door open and find yourself staring at the frame of Samantha Stokes. Your secret cabinet is open and she's rifling through your tapes. She is evidently frustrated at the fact that none of them are labelled, as each time she pulls one out, you hear her growl, and shove it back in.
Wolf puts the knife away and clears his throat. What, is a phone call too hard for you?
Turns around, sees you there, and then rolls her eyes, and she shrugs. She sees the dreg of blood still rolling on your lip, and it occurs to her that she must have caught you feeding, and she just shrugs, and she says, well, I would make a phone call if, the thing didn't blow up in my hand every time I tried, and, well, if you'd answered my knock at your door, but, well, I understand now I must have caught you just as you ducked out to hunt. And, well, given the whole Valerie ordeal, I let my curiosity get the better of me, I confess. Thought maybe I'd check things out before you returned. She looks down at
anything in particular, or?
She shrugs, peers down at the unlabelled tapes. Unlabelled, and I suspect if I were to actually play any of them, they've all been wiped clean, correct?
Wolf pointedly does not respond. Look, you know that in this arrangement I work for you, right? If you need something, you can just ask. That's why I'm here.
Well, it's a sort of a sensitive situation. Tell me, this thing with Marion Duncern, Estelle the Nosferatu, I read your report. You're sneaking into Pentex tonight. What are your thoughts on this whole ordeal? Seems like it's become a bit of a mess, don't you think?
Mess is a strong word. Things haven't played out exactly as I would have had them, but we are a coterie now, and things tend to take a turn when you're not the only one in control. That being said, it is very much under control, just not exactly as anticipated.
Sure. Well, perhaps it's turned out to be a happy coincidence. This is why I was searching through your things, because I'm curious. I don't suppose, in your capacity working for Marion thus far, you've encountered any mention of the name Andrea Church?
As a player, I don't believe so.
No, Wolf has not.
No, should I have crossed paths with her by now?
Oh, not especially, Sam shrugs, and she takes one last look at the tape she's holding, slides it back into the rack, and then slides the hidden compartment in the wall shut. She turns to face you, folding her arms, leaning against the clean plaster, and she says, I have an idea who might be behind, well, everything. Specifically what's going on at Pentex. And so I came to give you orders, as it were. The coterie's sneaking into Pentex tonight, and while you're there, I would very much appreciate it if you looked around and found any evidence that Mr. Dawkins is in league with someone by that name, Andrea Church.
Rest assured, if there is evidence of it, I will find it.
And if you do, you'll keep it out of the coterie's business, and you'll bring it to me, no questions asked.
That is the agreement, yes.
Good, good. If you do that, then maybe we'll be able to get a handle on all this before it becomes a mess. Before anything else untoward happens. Well, get to it, Wolf. I'll be expecting your report and anything you find by the end of tonight. And best of luck. Remember, you're technically stepping out of your bounds, infiltrating an anarch domain when you're supposed to be working for me, and I'm supposed to be neutral, so do not fuck it up.
I'm sure, as you've discovered by now, that wherever I go, nobody sees.
Good.
Or at least nobody lives to see.
She smiles, and she says, "Apologies for intruding on your hospitality, by the way. But if things were not so urgent, well, maybe next time we'll be able to have a proper meeting at our usual spot under more pleasurable circumstances. Best of luck tonight, Wolf." She smiles as she crosses your apartment and steps out of the door into the hallway, pulling it shut behind her, leaving you to prepare for the night ahead.
Yeah, Wolf muses to himself about the fact that the trust seems to be breaking down lately, and he can't put his finger on why.
Yeah, it's been obvious to you, Wolf, that something is on Sam's mind. Something that Valerie was perhaps on the verge of uncovering. Something that Sam desperately wants to deal with without raising any attention. But it's not your place to ask. You simply serve her to the best of your ability. And we will move on to Bouncer, who is also at Hunger 4. Bouncer, you sit bolt upright, your beast rattling the bars of its cage, and your skin is damp with sweat, with blood that has caked in your hair, caused your clothes to stick to your body. Once again, the bedclothes have been kicked off and are lying a couple feet across the room, but this time the mattress is intact and there are no holes in the wall. You know you have to feed. Hunt, 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 hunt. The beast compels you to find someone and, as usual, take them, dash them upon the stones, drain them of all they have, just like last time. Wasn't that satisfying last time? And so, Bouncer, do you have any place in mind?
I didn't have anywhere in particular.
Just as well, because as you're about to head out of your room, you notice your phone lying there on the floor in front of your apartment door, evidently in your near hunger frenzy, in the day sleep. You wrenched it out of your pocket and hurled it across the room. There's a little dent in the plaster where the phone must have hit, and there's a message gleaming on the screen, one from Melissa, and she simply says, "Stuff you'll be interested in. Come to the club as soon as you can."
Alright, yeah, she'll clean herself up and Yeah, I guess the club, or at least around the club's as good a place as any to try and hunt.
Yeah. So, you get to Club Violet in record time. You're not sure you've ever driven this fast. It's as if you're on autopilot the whole time. The beast directing your body, directing you to the club where it knows there will be fresh blood, where it knows there will be bodies on the dance floor throbbing, their hearts pumping, warm vitae through their flesh. And as you step through the doors into Club Violet itself, you find it uncharacteristically empty. It's just after 7:30 p.m. after all. The club's only been open for about half an hour, and it's usually pretty sleepy at this time of night. There's a couple of guys over at the bar lazily chatting as they wait for their drinks, but the dance floor is devoid of life. The music isn't even on. Instead, you're greeted by the ambience of the girls running back and forth, cleaning the booths and tables in preparation for the oncoming rush. The tinkle of glasses and bottles as the barkeep serves the few early birds. And not wanting to spoil the atmosphere, you make your way past the bar into Melissa's office in the back. You find Melissa hunched over her dressing table, attending to her makeup in the mirror. She's in her 40s now, her late 40s, and still she wields her makeup kit like a master and is able to melt 20 years off her face. She doesn't work the floor anymore, she's just the manager now, but if there's one thing you know about Melissa, it's that she always has to look her best. She sees the door open behind her in the mirror, and then she spins around in her chair, smiling. Pip! Oh, you came! Huh. Wasn't expecting you to be so quick. You've caught me before I managed to get my face on, but... Oh, look, we've each seen each other in much worse situations than this, I'm sure. She says... Yep,
fair.
go ahead.
Oh, that's fair.
She looks you up and down, sees that your dress is hanging lopsided on your frame, that your jacket seems to cling to your shoulders, that your hair is all messed up. And in the dim light of the dressing room, the dampness of your skin sparkles, and she rolls her eyes and she says, well, clearly you're not having the best of nights either.
Oh, you could say that.
Well, Go ahead.
No, I'm guessing it's to do with what you wanted to show me.
Oh, yes, well, thankfully, looks like we're in for a quiet night. But I had something for you, and, well, seeing the state you're in, hopefully it'll cheer you up a bit. She rises from her chair, makes her way over to her desk, and begins rifling through some cardboard boxes. Where is it? She whispers to herself. Those security guards you trained up. Well, the ones that didn't make the cut, was going through their lockers, clearing out their personal effects, and, well, you mentioned to me over the phone that, you were doing something with Pentex, I believe?
That's right, yeah.
Bouncer, how many dots in contacts do you have with the club?
With the club, I have 2 dots.
Go ahead and roll me 2 dice.
Yeah. Two successes.
2 successes. Her face gleams as she finds what she's looking for and holds up a plastic key card with the Pentex logo gleaming on the front. She says, so, one of those guys, Frederick, I think, was his name. Well, he must have worked Pentex at some point because he had this in his locker. Don't suppose he'll be missing it as it's made out to a... She looks down at the card. Guest card holder. But it looks like it's still valid and everything. She flips it over. Still has another week left on this thing. So, she shrugs. Hands it to you. Not sure if that'll help, but,
Oh, I think that'll be very helpful, thank you.
Just, if you're going to be doing any sneaking around or beating people up, and anyone asks where this card came from, kindly do not point them back to the club.
Of course not.
Now, there's something else, but at this point, a scream rings out from the dance floor outside, and the sound of smashing glass echoes through the room. Melissa immediately jumps to attention. She kneels down, and you hear her slide open a drawer on the desk, and she pulls out a snub-nosed .38 revolver, slides it into her jacket, and then looks at you and says, trouble, this early. Well, you're here, Pip. I don't suppose you'd, help me, deal with this before it, gets out of hand?
Oh, I'm always here for this sort of thing.
Good, whispers the beast.
Hmm.
Good. They're coming to you, giving you an excuse. She's got the gun in her hand. Clearly she's expecting bloodshed. Clearly all you have to do is smash someone's head against the dance floor. And so you follow Melissa out of the office, out into the club proper. The security guards that are on duty are standing on the edge of the dance floor, their hands fingering the hilts of their weapons in their utility belts. The bartender stares stunned at the scene unfolding in one of the booths. There, you see one of the girls, Clara. She silently looks over the dance floor, meets eyes with you, and pleads for help. There's a disheveled-looking man in industrial overalls. He's got one arm around her body, pulling her into the booth, and with his other hand, he's pressed a switchblade to the base of her chin. His eyes wild, his hair frazzled. He looks around, looks at the people assembled, and he shouts, "Where's the bitch? Where is she? Get her out here! Philippa, get that bitch out here now!" Melissa just gives you a look. She shrugs. "Oh, looks like he's looking for you."
That's funny. I'm not expecting anyone.
Clearly he's expecting you.
Yeah. And she'll make her way to the dance floor and just...
The dance floor, and the security guards part silently to let you through. You can hear Clara's heavy breathing. The tip of the knife presses in ever so slightly deeper, and a single drop of blood begins to roll down her neck. Your beast growls. The man looks you up and down. "Yeah, that's her. Get over here, bitch! What do you have to say for yourself? You killed Jason! And I know you did. I know you killed Jason. And how are you gonna make that right?
Well, I'm not sure I know who you're talking about, but I'm here now, so you don't need her anymore.
I'd like you, Bouncer, to go ahead and make for me a charisma or composure plus persuasion check. Because as soon as you say, I don't know who that is, he raises an eyebrow, he presses the blade in deeper, and Clara gasps.
I don't suppose my looks help with this, does it?
Yeah, they will actually.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're sort of drenched in sweat and caked blood, but you're still you.
Reset for the night, so I'm going to reroll 2 of those. Okay, that makes it 4 successes.
4 successes. You see his right hand falter as he lowers the knife ever so slightly. You can see a cut, a nick on Clara's neck, a single drop of blood slowly rolling down the curvature of her throat. And the beast growls. You feel your muscles vibrate as it takes every ounce of willpower to control yourself. Don't know who Jason is, spits the man through gritted teeth. Well, I don't know who this bitch is, maybe. Maybe I'll just slit her throat and we'll be even, huh? Be more mercy than you showed Jace. Last night at the Dunsern Mansion. You don't remember? The guy at the gatehouse told me he saw the footage. Saw what you did to Jason. Saw you slam him against a wall, smash every bone in his goddamn body. You were the only one I was able to track down, but you'll do as well as anyone else. What do you have to say for yourself? Yeah, Wolf did take all the footage, but that didn't stop the guy in the gatehouse from seeing Bouncer and Wolf execute those guys on the live feed. He was dominated enough there was a chance he wouldn't remember to tell anyone, but I did roll, and, well, it turns out he mentioned it to at least one of his colleagues. Yeah, that's right, he wasn't unconscious until you rocked. He was unconscious, but then you sent the others out to distract him, and they woke him up. And remember, Bouncer had her messy crit, and because of her compulsion, she just basically derailed the whole thing, and left him with just enough juice left in the tank to see Wolf cleaning up the bodies before he passed out. To clearly remember at least one person's face as they left the estate. So, Bouncer, what do you have to say for yourself? And might I point out, you're feeling incredibly impatient.
Oh yeah, no, to anyone who knows Bouncer, like, probably, yeah, like, Melissa, definitely, and maybe even Clara and some of the other girls, like, she's keeping a composed face, but is, like, barely boiling under the surface because Clara is also one of her touchstones, and this guy holding a knife to her is like, okay, you're going to die. Just sort of Hey, just a quick question because I was thinking, because it's in the booth. Is it a freestanding table, or is it one of those ones that's like sunk into the ground?
You quickly look at the base of the table, and it's got 4 bolts there. This is the type of club where someone stealing or uprooting the tables is always a distinct possibility. Yeah. Melissa attended to that years ago.
Yeah, so just as he mentions about the mansion, that's just. You mean one of the people who held a gun to me?
You weren't supposed to be there, the way I hear it told, he says. And so what? They pulled a gun on you. Jace just wanted to escort you out. You didn't have to smash him to a pulp. Just doing his job.
Yeah, that was an accident, yes. But I'm here now, so how about we do a trade, I suppose?
Trade?
Your problem was me, not her, so...
This bitch for you?
Yeah.
Sure! He retracts the knife and pushes Clara violently away. She stumbles over the table, gasping as she nearly falls onto the dance floor, and one of the security guards rushes forwards to catch her. And as the security guard catches her, she's barely a meter from where you stand. That single nick in her neck, that drop of blood gleaming in the strobing light, almost sinking with the beat of her heart. Each time the light flares on the dance floor and ebbs and flows. You can see the blood vessel in her neck. The blood pumping, thump, thump, thump. And as she looks up at you, her eyes wide, something snaps. And I'm going to need you to make a composure plus resolve plus a third of your humanity check.
No, this doesn't include hunger die, does it?
Does not include hunger die.
Oh, 3 successes.
3 successes.
Hopefully.
You feel your fists clench. You feel your fingers twist into claws. You feel yourself take a step towards her, and then you stop. No! Force your beast. Settle for just a moment. And then you quickly turn to Melissa, give her a stern look that tells her to get Clara out of here. She nods, scurries forwards, takes Clara into her arms, and half guides, half carries her off the empty dance floor. Then the man steps forwards out of the booth, still brandishing the switchblade. He looks you up and down. Didn't think someone with a bod like yours could do so much damage to poor Jace. So, how are you gonna make this right? He says, blood for blood? Or, he looks around. I hear the girls in this place will give a good root if you pay them enough.
How many other people are in the room again?
There's a couple security guards. There's the bartender. Not much else. Couple guys over at the bar just nursing their drinks, and they're kind of just like half cautiously, half entertained, peering over. When they see you looking back at them, they just instantly shrug, turn back, and start contemplating their cocktails again.
Yeah, no, she's hungry and everything else. She's not in the mood. So just as he finishes talking, he'll step closer and then just go for just one straight to the chin.
One straight to the chin. Yeah, go ahead. Make me a strength brawl check.
I'm gonna have to deal with a 3.
3. Okay. He got 2 successes. I gave him a penalty die. I'm not sure what he's expecting, but the last thing he's expecting is for you to just grit your teeth, let out a yell, and rush towards him, socking him in the face. He gasps as he's flung to the ground, sprawling over the table, and the switchblade goes flying, clattering into the middle of the dance floor. He's out cold in a single blow. And then, now that he's sprawled over the table, it's only a short distance from here to the back rooms, the rooms where the girls sometimes do their thing. You gonna risk it, Bouncer?
I'm just trying to think, is it... Would the building have like a back alley sort of thing, or...?
So where you are, just beyond the booth, there's a hallway that leads to the bathrooms and then the girls' dressing rooms, and then somewhere beyond that there's the staff entrance that leads out into a car park around the back, and that's attached to a small side street.
I'm trying to think, because would I know if that area is that monitored and all that, or?
Melissa has made it her business to make sure it is not monitored. The car park, at least. After all, there are things that are sold sometimes in Club Violet that aren't exactly legal, and Melissa can't deny the income it brings in. Alley itself, though, well, some of the girls walk through there on their way home. There are cameras up watching the alleyway, but the car park itself, that's free game. Assuming Melissa's not looking out her office window.
Yeah, so she's gonna turn to one of the guards on the floor and just, "All right, give me a hand. Let's get this jerk outside." Have him and take him out that way and just throw him out of the car park, and then...
Yeah, says the security guard. He steps forwards and he helps you hoist the unconscious man off the table. You suspend him between you as you carry him down the hallway, and then the security guard nudges the metal door open. You step out into the car park that's lit only with a single street light, the only vantage point being the door you just stepped through and Melissa's office window, and it's very obvious by the fact that the lights in her office are currently off that she's attending to Clara's wound in the girls' dressing rooms. Security guard peers down at the unconscious man sprawled at your feet, delivers a swift kick to his ribs. Good riddance. Trust you can take it from here, Pip?
Yeah, I can have it from here. I want to just get some air for a moment, too.
Right. You get him on his feet, get him out of here. Tell him he's not welcome back, and if I see his face on the dance floor again... The security guard flexes his knuckles. Well, I've been aching for a chance to test out that training you put me through. He winks knowingly at you and then turns and steps back inside.
And then once the doors close and give a quick look around, make sure no one else is out here with me. To begin to feed.
He's unconscious. He doesn't squirm, he doesn't fight back. If he feels anything at all, he makes no sign. Just a single, sharply drawn breath as your fangs sink into his neck. And the beast breathes deeply in contentment as the warm blood runs down your throat. Go ahead. You're still at hunger 4. Make me another resolve plus composure plus a third of your humanity check.
Remember, that is 2 successes.
2 successes. You very nearly kill him. You keep drinking and drinking and drinking until you feel his heart barely beat at all, and almost lost in the hunger frenzy, you force yourself away. No! Not again. Not again. You pull yourself away. He's lying at your feet, pale, barely breathing. And so, you drag him to the edge of the car park, pat him down, extract his wallet, slide out his driver's license. It's got his name and address, his photo, for Wolf to deal with later. And then, you slide your finger across his phone, dial 000, whisper the word ambulance, and then turn and leave. He'll be in the hospital for a week, maybe more, but he'll live. At least until Wolf gets to him, assuming you are going to tell Wolf about him. Either way, you're pretty sure he's learned his lesson.
Yep.
May reset your hunger to 1. And we cross to Marion.
Okay, let's make this quick.
Yeah. Marion, you are an extortionist, of course.
I am.
So go ahead and roll for me. Let me just check what it... go ahead and roll for me. Strength or manipulation plus intimidation.
So strength or manipulation?
Yep, plus
It's
intimidation.
Manipulation then. Coercion as well?
Yeah, I'd say you can apply your specialty.
That's what it's for. 5 successes, and I would like to note, I'm not an extortionist. I just have needs.
It's needs. You supply needs, and in return, they supply your needs. So, you step out of your bedroom and retrieve your list from your handbag. Joseph Fulstrom's name is crossed off at the top. Who's next?
Oh, I don't know. They're all the same, aren't they?
They're all the same, yeah. How many successes did you get?
I got 5. She's
5
probably just
successes.
looking through her phone.
Yeah, you slide open the list on your phone and you're scrolling through, trying to find someone who would be convenient to meet tonight quickly, someone who's not going to ask questions or put up much of a fight, and you get to a name at the very bottom of your list. Melanie Powers. Social media influencer who borrowed perhaps a bit too much money so she could buy into an MLM scheme, try to sell it to her followers, and ended up discovering that The influence she thought she had was far limited in
Honestly,
reality.
it's remarkable that anyone falls for this bullshit after the 1980s.
In fact, after she spent a solid 2 or 3 months flooding her Instagram with nothing but posts shilling Le Voir perfume and nothing more, her follower count dropped into the single digits, leaving her with nothing but a pile of debt and a house full of unsold third-rate perfumes. You quickly send her a message. It's been a few months since we met. I've been lenient. But tonight, you need to come through. You send her the address for a cafe about a block from the Colonial Hotel and tell her to meet you there within 20 minutes. Do not be late. And then, as you gather up your bag and your phone and prepare to leave, as you stride towards the door of your suite, you catch sight of Flick standing in the lounge room, her right arm hanging limply at the side of her body, clutching a colouring book that has long since run out of things to colour. She looks up at you. Honey Marion, you didn't come back last night.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. I've been very busy.
Bored. I'm hungry. When are we going to see Uncle Tig and the doggies?
I'll tell you what. Once we've finished up everything that I'm doing at the moment, which shouldn't take too long, I promise, I'll make sure we can see Uncle Tig soon, okay?
She looks at you, pouts, then folds her arms, and she says, I'm hungry! Please,
Okay.
can't I come?
Not tonight, sweetheart, but I can bring you home a snack, okay?
You better, she says. And a new colouring book as well, and not dinosaurs this time.
Okay, sweetheart, what would you like?
I want one with... She thinks for a moment, her eyes sort of gazing off into the distance, contemplating something that you can't see, and then she says, I want one about cats.
Cats? What kind of cats?
Fluffy cats.
Fluffy cats. Okay. I'll get you a little fluffy cat coloring book.
The ones with the rainbow fur, like numbers.
Well, I'm pretty
Point.
sure you can make the fur whatever you want.
I'll draw numbers, isn't that right? She says as she points towards the bedroom. And you see nothing there, it's just thin air. She smiles and she says, Numbers thinks that'd be great.
I'm gonna roll insight real quick.
Yeah, go ahead. Roll me an intelligence plus insight or a wits plus insight.
I'll probably do, intelligence would be better, but I'm gonna roll wits for the context. She gets a 3 on that.
So, spend a few moments just staring at the empty patch of hallway between your bedroom and the main area of the suite, where Flick's eyes seem to be totally fixated on something, and it occurs to you that a normal 7 to 9-year-old would probably have at least one imaginary friend. But Flick, of course, is a Malkavian.
Yeah, I think she can put that together, and she says, "Oh, I don't believe we've been introduced."
Rainbow cat, she says, gesturing towards nothing. And then, you're not sure what to make of this. You see the thin layer of dust that hangs on the floorboards at the baseboard of the wall slowly shift as if a cat were dragging its tail across it.
my god.
Numbers says you better bring back a colouring book that does him justice, or he's gonna destroy another cushion on your couch.
Oh, we don't want that. I promise, Numbers. Is there anything else specific you'd like about it?
Numbers wants a can of that cat food with the cartoon cat with the top hat on it.
Okay, sweetheart. I'll make sure.
Good, she says, and then she folds her arms once more, smiles, and runs full tilt into the hallway, chasing after the invisible cat.
Goodbye, Flip.
Bye!
Love you. And she's gonna go out the front door and she's gonna pull out her phone. And I imagine that she has at least one secretary on speed dial.
Yeah, probably at least 3 or 4, I'd say, given her resources.
Indeed. She's gonna call someone up and just relay all this information.
She gets a message. She gets a message back as soon as she hangs up the phone. Top hat cat food. Right. Okay. Weird request, but I'm not paid to ask questions.
No, you aren't. Thank you. She sends back.
About 20 minutes later, you're stepping into one of G-Town's trendy cafes. It caters to the same sort of clientele as the Colonial Hotel, the upwardly mobile, the trendy hip youth with disposable incomes. It's a place where Melanie Powers looks distinctly out of place. Seated on her own at one of the tables at the very back of the cafe, standing out amongst the businessmen and women, the proper influencers wearing trendy outfits, whereas she's just wearing her drab Levois branded overalls. She sees you coming, rolls her eyes, and pulls out a chair for you to take your seat. I don't get it, she says. April Powers did that blood facial thing. I borrowed her name. I borrowed her techniques. But as soon as I started mentioning perfume, suddenly no one wanted to buy anything?
Look, honey, I'd be happy to tell you everything I know about business, and promise you it's quite a lot, but that has to come another night, okay?
I know a thing or two about business myself, she says, folding her arms defiantly. I'm my own boss,
Marion
if you'll
just
recall.
looks at her dead in the eye with a completely straight face.
I'm my own boss. I can make upwards of 10,000 a week if people actually did what I told them to. Look, I've got your money. How much did we agree on? 1,000?
Oh, honey, just 1,000?
Look, I've got it in my car, okay?
We negotiated rates weeks ago. Do you understand how interest works?
Interest? I know what engagement is, okay?
Oh my goodness. Okay, take me to your car.
I've got 1,000 in my car, take it or leave it. And with that, she stands up and begins to cross the trendy cafe, drawing the eyes of all its regular patrons. As she steps through the front door out onto the streets, a server locks eyes with you, shrugs and says, huh, good riddance.
She smiles back to the server.
You follow Melanie out onto the street. She leads you about a city block away into a double-story concrete car park. She inserts a paper ticket into the machine and the boom gate rises, and then she leads you to her car, parked in bay number 23. Perhaps coincidentally, in perhaps the furthest shadiest corner of the car park, far away from the entrance, or indeed the elevator opposite the entrance that carries the patrons into the attached shopping mall. "Just wait here," she says, as she approaches her car, reaches into her handbag and bends over the lock. Is this when you make your move?
Yeah, it would be.
So you move in, grab her by the arms. She gasps, dropping the key. It clatters
Be
onto the
quiet.
concrete. And then you look her in the eyes, and I suppose, are you going to dominate her into compliance?
Yes, I am. And
Yeah,
first
go ahead,
off,
make a rouse
she
check.
gets hungry. Yes, this is good. She's at 4 now.
4 now. No, don't! She says, "Be quiet."
And manipulation dominate got 4.
Yeah, she's not going to fight back. She's not prepared for this. Her eyes glaze over, rolling back in their sockets, and then she just stands there as you sink your fangs into her. She opens her mouth and gasps as the agony washes over, but as much as she wants to scream, finds that she can't, finds that her vocal cords of their own will cease to function, finds that even though she desperately wants to fight back, wants to push this monster off her, she can't move. It's like being in a nightmare. Marion, you know what you're going to have to do. Resolve plus composure plus 1/3 of your humanity, please.
To not frenzy and drink too much, yeah?
Yeah, not frenzy.
That's 2 successes.
2 successes. You want to. You so desperately want to. This woman doesn't have the money. You can tell she doesn't have the money. She's trying to pull something, some fast one on you. She's going to give you a check that's going to bounce. She's going to try to pay you off in Levoir vouchers. Foist a box of Eau du Toilette into your hand. But you're taking what you need for now. Reset your hunger to 1 as you force yourself to stop. Wrench your fangs from her neck. Lick the wound shut and then leave her sobbing, slinking to the ground, weeping. And as you turn and leave, what do you say?
No, she's not gonna
Yeah.
do that.
I forgot you do cloud memory, don't you?
I do, and I make a habit of it. No, she's going to extend her arm, like offering to pick her up off the ground and say, "Just forget about all this."
She sobs once more, and then your command takes hold. She shakes her head, looks at you, blinks, and says, So we're okay for another month? The vouchers will be fine?"
Look, sweetheart, let's make a time to talk business, because I think that you could potentially use my assistance. Now, I'm busy for the moment, but I believe next Friday I should have a night off. Shall we make a time for then?
Friday. Right, she says. She wipes a tear out of her eye. And as you turn to leave, she calls out, you wouldn't be interested in a self-motivating position where you... Oh, just forget about it.
I'm all right. And honey, that perfume you're selling, it would work better as hand sanitizer.
I know, she says, as she slinks dejected into the driver's seat of her car, buries her face in her hands. And we move to Tig. As you return from your herd, you have a heart-to-heart with Elaine.
I knew he'd been worked over. I knew he wasn't on any spectrum anymore. He was all the fucking colors. I mean, you could tell somebody had been up his mind and back and forth and turned it to mush till he didn't know how to deal with regular people. And I was like, fine, and I told him straight up, you know she's just using you, right? Because it was obvious she was. She was. And when he told us, I'm going to go in there and have a talk with her and maybe she'll back down, I was like, well, you gotta learn somehow, mate. She'll knock you around, and then you'll learn, and then we'll go in, and we'll sort it out, and then his head's on the floor. Yeah, I could have said
Elaine.
something. I could have held it back, but I didn't. And I didn't know she
Elaine
did that, but...
takes a deep breath as she ponders the women's weekly puzzle that she's got splayed out on the coffee table. Fills in a word of the crossword with her pen. And then she looks at you. She gives you a smile. A sympathetic smile. And she just says, You live in a violent world, hun. A world that makes you do things that regular people just don't understand. And sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Was you or him? I know how your kind are, Tig. I know how they are. And if it weren't him, it was just as liable to be your head she'd rip off.
Yeah. Oh, she tried, but I put her to rights, calling me a fucking spare. Ugh. Sorry for the swearing. Kid's in bed anyway.
I know you're not a monster, hun, she says, shaking her head as she fills in another row of letters. But in your world there are monsters, and sometimes it's the other ones that force you to do things that you can't, that you wouldn't do otherwise. You understand?
Yeah.
You may wipe the stain off your tracker.
Thank you kindly.
She puts the finishing flourishes on the crossword and then reaches over for the TV remote, turns it on, and the saccharine music of a soap opera intro begins to play. That's when good roommates become great pals. She shrugs and she says, Oh, something in the fridge for you, doll. Lady came by last night, dressed as a doctor. Said her name was Christine.
She came here, did she?
Said you was the only one she could find.
I'm gonna have to have a talk with her about boundaries, but alright then. Oh, she dropped off. And Tick goes and has a look.
Up into the kitchen and you see a note pinned to the fridge. You recognize Christine's pathology. You can barely read it, but you can make out the words Mr. Duncern. And so you pull open the fridge, and sitting there, wedged in between two VB 6-packs, are 2 bags of freshly procured blood from the blood bank.
Well, maybe others will get some joy out of these. I'll just, Yeah, oh shit, that's right, I'm gonna be late, but get moving.
You unfurl the note as you pull it from the fridge, strain at it for a few more moments, and make out a single sentence. I had a premonition of you and Cross and exploding machines.
Cross? That shows what she knows. Cross ain't in the coterie no more. Yeah, whatever.
Then you step out, the screen door slamming shut behind you, and a swallow up in
tucked
the
away
night.
in a cooler.
blood bags tucked away in a cooler, and you're swallowed up by the night. We return to Marion for our last little solo scene before we get into the sneaking. Marion, you've returned to the Colonial Hotel. It's just after 8 p.m. and you're sitting in the meeting room on the 3rd floor, the little boardroom where you were introduced to the coterie for the first time, where Cross was taken away and where you stepped into its place. You're seated at the long mahogany table, surrounded by the marbled walls and the plush carpet. Yeah, we'll be taking our break before we start the actual narrative part. And seated across the table from you is Chase Giovanni. His double-breasted suit as immaculate as ever, still doing his very best Bruce Wayne impression. To his left is someone you haven't seen in... Looks like I've got an MLM thing I need to attend to. Sorry. There we go. Directly to his left is your sire, Verity Giovanni. Her long blonde hair, easily the brightest thing in the room. She's dressed in her finest business attire, fresh from her stint in Sydney. And the two of them look at each other, exchanging worried glances, and then turn back to you, frowning as they've just heard your proposal. You want to bring Cross once more into your coterie's service, says Chase. He glances over at Verity. She looks back at you. Whatever for? She says.
Look, we have... It's a sensitive issue, but we have a bit of a wraith problem on our hands.
A wraith problem? She says. You have Atticus under your control. Surely you can handle anything with his assistance.
Are you familiar with spectres?
She exchanges a glance with Chase. Then she lets out a laugh. Chase smiles and says, I believe your sire, given that her proclivities are towards business, deals with raids only in the capacity of, well, that the members of our clan that are devoted to necromancy are able to assist her with.
Look, I make no claim to be familiar with the field, but spectres in particular, my spectre, shall we say, are rather unstable forces. Atticus is a wonderful assistant, but he is not much for diplomacy.
Cross and Mort are currently very busy in the employ of the family, researching possible raids and their fetters and attending to pressing them into our service. How important is it that Cross assist you tonight? Surely this can wait. Especially for a simple favor for a disgraced anarch Nosferatu.
I wish I were at liberty to explain the urgency of the situation, but I can assure you that it is very necessary.
Deal, says Verity, smiling, flashing her white teeth. We will force Mort to sequester Cross into your services for tonight, but evidently things have gotten out of hand if we're required to resort to such drastic measures, and so we're going to attend to the question of your father, Marion. After all, his being ghouled by this Estelle is what's led to you proposing to disrupt Cross and Maud's research tonight. For no good reason, I might add. And so, if Cross is to assist you tonight, then I expect that your father will be made no longer a liability by the end of tonight. You understand what that means, I presume?
For me, the player, just to be clear, what is she implying?
Marion would understand that she is implying that Marion's father be offered to the clan for the embrace.
Okay, good. It was either that or like killing him. So
Well, that also works.
good. Making sure we're on the same page. Yes, I was actually going to ask for your help with that.
The man is senile and infirm enough that apparently any anarch off the street can get to him to ghoul him, with the assistance of a thin blood. She exchanges glances with Chase, and Chase nods and says, Dr. Giovanni may have been a good asset, even though he was a thin blood. Perhaps we made an error expelling him from the clan, but we're not going to make a mistake like that again.
Look, I can assure you that my father is by no means senile, merely he was desperate.
We are more concerned that he not be available for any other kindred to ghoul to their own ends, and there are only two ways to ensure that does not happen. Either his mortal existence comes to an end, or, well, we will grant you the right of embrace. We're well aware that you are of the 13th generation. We're very much aware that he may, through some twist of fate, end up as a thin blood, but, well, Dr. Giovanni's meddling proved that at the very least a thin blood can perform tasks adequately when required. And perhaps fate may smile on us, perhaps he'll end up like Cross, just barely spared that horrific fate.
She bows her head and she says, "Thank you, I really do appreciate it."
But Chase raises his hand, and then Verity continues where he left off. But he's made several donations to Pentex already, and Elliot Dawkins has already made moves to secure him as an asset of Pentex. If you were to embrace him now, it is likely that Mr. Dawkins would interpret this as you making a move on one of his assets, so we must preempt any possible retaliation. We must create a blood tie between ourselves and the Anarchs. Are you aware that you have a distant relative in this city by the name of Elaine Duncern?
Indeed I am.
Married to the gangrel Tig Duncern, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yes, of course.
Well, being married to an Anarch would mean she'd be well placed to ensure that Mr. Dawkins does not send any trouble our way, does not retaliate in any meaningful way for you embracing your father. And so, if you are to embrace your father, I would also ask that you bring Elaine Duncern to us. Chase Giovanni smiles. He clears his throat and he says, I will embrace her myself.
I see.
Is that agreeable?
Honestly, I was under the impression that Elaine was already one of us, but
She is, as we understand, a ghoul of Tig Duncern.
that would make sense. I see. If I may speak, with her husband.
Would prefer that you not bring it to his attention unless you desperately have to. After all, he's not likely to willingly agree. But if you feel there is some way you can sway him, feel free. We merely require that Elaine is here, ready for her embrace, and that she is embraced so that any potential problems down the line with the Anarchs can be preemptively solved.
I understand. Okay. Is there anything else you would have of me?
That's all. We shall inform Mort that Cross has work to do. Proceed with your nightly activities. We'll tell Cross to catch up with you.
Thank you.
Verity winks as she stands up, and beside her Chase adjusts his suit. They each peer down at you, still in your seat, and in this boardroom, both of them standing up with the marbled walls at their backs. For a moment it seems as if they tower above you. Verity just smiles. I embraced you because you always make the right choice. Remember that. And then she winks and leads Chase out of the room. And with that, we'll go to our break.
Jeez.
What a mess.
As you venture out of the glitz and glamour of downtown and into the northern industrial suburbs, and further into the wasteland that is marsupial, the very edge of what anyone in G-Town would consider civilized land, you find yourselves on the precipice of a grim and foreboding landscape. The air is thick with a noxious blend of acrid smoke and the metallic tang of pollution. The night sky overhead is hidden behind a curtain of smog, rendering the stars mere twinkling illusions. As you walk, your footsteps echo off rusted metal grates and broken concrete, the very ground beneath you betraying the wear and tear of countless years of neglect. You parked your vehicles a couple blocks away on the edge of Marsupial, and you've continued the rest of the way on foot. You've received a message from Estelle. Meet at an old car park at the mouth of the street that leads to the Pentex refinery. And as you step over the crumbling asphalt, walk past the burnt-out husks of cars, past the dumpsters and discarded wooden crates and industrial waste, you find Estelle waiting, leaning against a shuttered, dark, abandoned security shack on the edge of the car park. Her arms folded, the hood of her leather jacket pulled over her head to conceal her Nosferatu face. As you approach, she nods and gestures you over. I'll ask a quick question. Tig, do you have your dogs with you?
At this point, we're doing a sneaky, right?
That seems to be what you're planning to do, but
The dogs are at home.
dogs are
They
at
are
home.
not sneaky.
The first time, one of the first times in about 20 years that the rest of the coterie have seen Tig on his own, not followed by at least one good sheepdog barking, wagging its tail, and generally making a big mess of things. It's strange. And someone else is waiting. Someone who steps out of the shadows into the blurry haze of the street light beside Estelle as you approach. Ash, go ahead and describe what Cross looks like after all this time. Does it look different? Does it look exactly the same? Does it look happy to be here?
The only perceptible difference in our undead friend is a slightly straighter back and less of a tired look.
You're long enough, says Estelle. Your Carter friend here gives me fucking creeps.
Cross doesn't respond to that.
Sure you needed to bring that along? I thought Marion could handle this all on her... No. Alright, look. I'm not asking questions. You know what you're here to do, right? Get into Pentex, find the ghost of Toby McGrath, and put him to rest. And if this squirrely fuck is the one who has to do it, I ain't gonna complain. Yep.
Fuck you.
Well, hey, fuck you too, buddy. I thought you'd at least have some compassion for what you're doing. You turn up here, and the first thing out of your mouth is, "Where is the Wraith?"
Yeah, I'm doing a job.
Fuck. Okay, we need to watch out for exploding machinery.
Exploding machinery, says Estelle. Well, look, this is why you've been leveraged to do the task, and why I am not accompanying you. I feel like my presence would only make Toby even more hostile. It's best if I stay here, but I'm aware that last night we were going to kill each other. And so I did you a solid. She gestures towards a cardboard box that's just lying in the doorframe of the shuttered security shack. Got a blueprint of the facility in there for you. Can find your way to the processing lab, I believe it is. That's where they started processing that Infernium shit. That's where the accident that took Toby's life would have happened. That'd be the best place to get started, I think. Also, I pulled some favors with the rest of the clan. I don't know how you were planning on getting into the facility, but I'll throw you a bone. If you don't fancy getting through the gates, dealing with security, there's a runoff pipe, goes down into the bay, about 2 blocks that away. She gestures with a thumb over her shoulder. Refinery uses it to pump waste out into the bay. It's connected to the refining lab, at least according to the blueprint. So if you wanted to avoid having to talk to anyone at all, at least until you get inside, you could give that a shot. Any mortal who stepped in there, waste would melt their face off the second it happened. But guys like us should be fine enough. But remember, Pentex ain't dealing with your garden variety industrial waste shit anymore. They're doing stuff with Infernium. And if they're using the same pipe to dispose of their runoff from that, you might run into things that might be difficult to deal with. So I'll leave it up to you.
Did the Wraith in question keep any personal effects on itself? Anything that you can think of? Yes, fetters, they're called. Family photo, perhaps?
Cross here explained it before you turned up. You've got to find his fetter, then you've got to find a spot where the veil is thin, and then use his fetter to compel him to leave. Am I understanding it?
Yep,
Okay.
That's accurate. Look, do you know anything that might work as a fetter?
She shrugs. Jack all. Pentex never gave his personal effects to his next of kin. Must have been contaminated. They probably still got him locked up somewhere in that facility, probably running all sorts of tests on him.
Okay, we can work with that.
And whatever you do, she says, don't let Elliot Dawkins know that you are in there. Because Sam Stokes' coterie is not meant to be interfering in Anarch shit. And it'll cause problems, and that's beyond the scope of anything I want done. But
Cross just rolls its eyes.
If you do end up running into him and you got no choice but to talk to the fucker, maybe give him a good punch to the back of the head for Toby, would you?
Yes, we'll get right to that.
Guy was Cam until fairly recently. Ain't no water off my back if you have to rough him up a bit. But let's leave that for a last resort. Alright. She reaches up and from the gloom under her hood extracts a cigarette. Without even stopping to butt it out, she flings it towards Cross.
Jesus Christ. What's this? What is this?
Wanted to test your reactions, she says. And then she crushes the cigarette underfoot and says, alright, I'll be waiting at the warehouse when you're done. Put Toby to rest, and we're even. More than even. You can use my warehouse as a secondary haven, and if you need me to do anything, you just give me a call.
I'll see you later then.
Pulls her jacket tighter around her lithe frame and begins to trudge over the crumbling asphalt. She steps behind a burnt-out car husk and then is gone.
Cross is flipping her off all the way.
If she noticed, she doesn't do anything about it. So,
please tell me you've got a good reason for working with that bitch.
It was actually the lesser evil kind of thing.
Trust me, we have our reasons. I'm sorry to call you here at such late notice. Oh, I know. Okay. Let's get this over and done with.
Oh, so Christine came by, said she'd had a vision and we'd need these. So be careful about exploding machinery. And take hands a blood bag to Cross and one to Bouncer.
Cross takes it appreciatively and gives a look to Tig that it at least intends to be one of, like, respect.
Didn't honestly think I'd see you again, so, hey. Glad you're here.
It's good to see you. It sort of turns away as it says that.
Anyway,
so exploding machinery. Can we linger on that for a moment?
She didn't tell me much more. Take hands over the note. Anyway, I'm going to change into coveralls and back of me truck because I think I'll be taking the pod.
I feel like that's less helpful than it seems. We're going to a refinery. It is a machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, at least we need to keep our guard up even further.
Is anyone here good with mechanics? Says Marion.
I mean,
Pipe wrench.
I'm actually pretty good at fixing up things, but I don't know. I doubt this has got any like machinery I'm familiar with.
By the way, Wolf, you've not seen Cross before. You've heard of Cross. You knew that it was working with the coterie at some point. This is the first time you've ever laid eyes on it.
Cross makes this observation at the same time, and it says, so who's the newbie?
Yeah, likewise.
Wolf, this is Cross. Cross was a member of the coterie before me. Cross, this is Wolf. He was assigned to us fairly recently. He runs, he cleans.
I'll take it as a good thing that I don't know exactly who you are. It means you keep your nose clean.
Cross just sort of studies Wolf's face.
It means I don't have to clean up after you much.
I try to keep my nose out of shit that doesn't belong in.
The conversation.
Well, we're about to stick our noses in some now, so.
Yeah, good thing. The conversation is interrupted by the roar of an engine. You whirl around to see Tig's ute pulling into the car park. It drives into the center of the car park, and the headlights die. The engine slows to a stutter, and then Tig climbs out of the ute, dressed in long blue workman's coveralls.
Alright, so who's taking the pipe and who's trying to talk your way in?
Well, you know me.
Yeah, I'll take the pipe, thank you.
Quickly, what Wolf was it?
Yeah, what is it?
What can you do? General rundown of disciplines, etc.
I clean.
Yeah, okay, but can you disappear? Can you punch shit really hard? I'm just trying to think about game plans here.
Wolf pulls out his knife and just kind of dances it along his fingers. I can go where people don't expect me to go. And when I'm there, nobody pays me any mind.
Are you always this vague? Celerity or obfuscate? Excellent. Okay. For the record, I can do some basic shit. I can make myself really quiet. That's about it.
Right, so you'll be taking the pipe too. Is anybody not taking the pipe apart from Marion?
On this note, heightened senses are going on for the foreseeable future.
Of course.
Bouncer, if you don't have a preference, you probably better go with Marion. So nobody's alone.
Yeah, I was thinking I'd rather not go in the pipe. Even if it won't hurt us, that doesn't sound very pleasant otherwise.
It's probably gonna stink up anyone it goes in there.
Just let me do this talking, okay?
Yeah, Wolf pops open the boot of his car and starts flurrying around, and you hear the squeaking of rubber as he pulls out. Sorry, go for it.
Hang on, Bouncer, you was gonna say something, yeah?
Oh, just that something I got from the class, something Milsa gave me, and she'll pull out the guest card, and then it's like, apparently one of the failed bouncers left this in his locker.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that works.
Probably. But I'm assuming it won't get us too deep in, but it should at least get us through a couple of the entry doors.
Between that and Marion, you'll probably be able to sweet talk your way directly to the heart of the place. Yeah, we'll just rough it in the pipe.
Alright,
So
well,
what
you
you
can
got
take
there,
point then,
Cross?
Bouncer.
Yeah.
So, Marion, how do you feel about going in the pipe? Surely Marion
dismal.
does not make a habit of sloshing around in sewage.
No, she does not. Not in these shoes, anyway.
Speaking of which, Wolf produces several pairs of gumboots, thick rubber pants, and gloves for anybody who may desire them. Look, I'm not as fond of shit as some people are, but
Cross will take them.
Tig also pulls out a waterproof toolbox that has most of the tools replaced with, his sawed-off.
Cross wouldn't admit it, but the idea of going through the pipe is a sensory nightmare, so it's definitely taking the PPE.
Yeah, does Marion take a set as well?
Isn't she talking her way through with Bouncer?
Talking.
Yeah, Marion and Bouncer are the talky ones.
Yep, everyone's else going in the pipe. Yeah. All right.
Where will we meet up? We don't have a floor plan exactly, so we need some kind of actual plan.
Well, you do. You have a floor plan that
Oh, do we?
Yeah, you've got in the box of things that Estelle provided. There is a floor plan of the facility. It's a couple years out of date, but you don't expect it to be that inaccurate. And she's marked the processing lab, which is a wing on sort of like the far left-hand side of the building, about equidistant from where the pipe pops out and the front entrance. So it'd probably be a good place to meet, would be in the vicinity of their office area around the processing lab. And that office area, you're probably expecting it to be a maze of cubicles, most of them probably empty at this time of night.
Right, that does seem like the most reasonable place for us to congregate.
And Bouncer's got a security card for a guest visitor to the facility, which should get you through some doors. It's still got a week left on it before it expires.
Okay, well, we'll just do what we can with that, and if push comes to shove, Marion can do the talking.
All right.
Yeah.
So Marion strides over to Tig's truck. Bouncer joins her in the passenger seat, and Marion, this is the first time you've ever been in Tig's truck, and it feels like you're sinking into a big pile of dog fur, O'Tolly's wrappers, and empty VB cans rather than a car seat.
Tig! Do you never clean this truck out?
I cleaned it. Wait, fuck, what year is it? It might have been a while.
Marion shudders as she
tries to find a bag, actually, that she can start piling scraps of rubbish into.
She finds
Don't worry,
the
the dogs are trained to whittle outside.
She finds an old paper O'Tolly's bag. It's about half full with rubbish already, but she manages to scoop enough rubbish off the seat that she can make a patch just big enough for her to sit down without feeling like she's sinking into the garbage monster.
She pulls a little bottle of hand sanitizer out of her handbag.
Sprays it on the steering wheel and the dashboard, and then she turns the ignition, and the entire cabin of the truck seems to launch forwards like the car of a roller coaster as it reaches the top of the crest and begins to tumble down. And the steering wheel in her hand is vibrating as if it's about to break off and fly away, as if the whole car's about to fall apart. But miraculously, it doesn't. Bouncer and Marion exchange dismal glances at the rest of the coterie as Tig's truck reverses out of the car park and begins to make its way down the street to the refinery as Cross, Wolf, and Tig climb a waist-high chain-link fence and trudge over the broken concrete, the scattered pieces of rock and pebble and wood towards a tiny beach. A beach where the sand has since been overwhelmed by rubbish and industrial overflow, and there you see, like a gateway into the abyss itself, a circle of pure blackness eating into the side of the little cliff that overhangs the beach, the runoff pipe. Marion and Bouncer. The Pentex refinery looms ahead, a sprawling monstrosity of pipes.
Quickly, sorry. Bouncer, how are you dressed?
Should be dressed well at the moment, unless there was a
she would have had time.
briefing beforehand of
Good. Okay.
to try and dress a staff member or something, but yeah.
That's good. Cool.
Yeah, she's had time to tidy up.
Yeah, you're both dressed. Marion, you wouldn't consider what Bouncer's wearing to be smart casual, but it's not eye-catching, at least.
It's not going to raise eyebrows, that's fine.
Yeah. So the Pentex refinery looms ahead, a sprawling monstrosity of pipes, tanks, and towering smokestacks belching plumes of black smoke into the heavens. The sheer scale of the facility is staggering, a grotesque testament to unchecked industrial ambition. The flickering orange glow of sodium vapor lights casts long, eerie shadows across the cracked road leading up to the barbed wire-topped chain-link gate. There's a single run-down-looking gatehouse, and it seems to be manned. As the truck approaches, a light in the gatehouse switches on, and you see a uniformed security guard sit up behind a plexiglass window, motioning for you to stop in front of the gatehouse.
Yeah, she would do.
Takes slightly longer for Tig's truck to stop than you would have expected it to, and for a moment you wince as you feel as if you're about to go straight through the gate, but then suddenly the car just stops, whipping you and Bouncer forwards. You wind down the window and the security guard smiles. He says, would have guessed tradies from the car, but you ladies look dressed for business.
Yes, had a horrible little accident the other day, and this is the best rental they apparently had.
Company car, right.
Yeah, she makes like a little eye roll gesture, bringing him in on it, and she says, "But we do in fact have documentation. Bouncer, could you hand me the key card, please?"
Yeah, just hand it over.
Takes the card, looks at it, flips it around, studying it in the light, and then you watch as he slides it through a reader behind the window. He peers over a computer screen, types at the keyboard, and then he frowns. He says, "This is made out to a Frederick Jones. Look, I don't mean to assume your gender or nothing, this being 2021 and all, but neither of you girls looks like a Frederick to me."
Yes, we are actually here on his behalf. We were informed it would be no problem.
Right. Well, Frederick says here he's supposed to be here as a security contractor, overseeing. Well, they're bringing some new things they're bringing some of the first minerals from the platform over to the refining lab. And he's supposed to just sort of stand by, make sure nothing happens that it shouldn't. So I don't suppose you'll need to do anything hands-on. He thinks for a moment, and I would like you, Marion, to go ahead and make a manipulation subterfuge check.
Can do. 3 successes.
The man nods. Yeah, alright, look, that card will get you straight to the processing lab, and when you're in there, you want to check with Hans. Tell him you're here instead of Frederick, and he'll put you to work. I'm not expecting you to have to get your hands dirty. He mainly just wants eyes on the stuff being brought in to make sure no one gets too close to it. You know, he looks around, makes sure no one's in earshot, and says that the stuff they're bringing in from the platform, people get too close to it, you know, they go loopy, right? Stay away from it yourself.
Okay. Thank you for your help.
What names should I put in the system?
Marion looks to Bouncer.
I have one name, but I don't have a second yet.
Maybe don't give your real name.
No, I wasn't. Clarine is one, and then I'm trying to think of another name. That's the other thing.
Well, I'm Jennifer Buchanan.
Jennifer Buchanan. That's BUCHANNON. Right, got it.
ANAN, darling.
ANAN. And you? He points at Bouncer.
Clarine Powers.
Clarine Powers. Hey, you wouldn't happen to be related to the... No, you can't be. Your car doesn't smell like shit-ass perfume. He types your names in, and then he nods. He says, all right, ladies, just head in. Visitor car park's just over there. You want to head in through the front, make your way to the processing lab. Meet up with Hans. He's having a meeting with the CEO. You should be able to just knock on the door and get in, all right?
Thank you, sweetheart. I really appreciate it.
He nods as he presses a button and the chain link gate rumbles as it slowly slides open, admitting you to the industrial park. You pilot Tig's contraption a short distance into the park until you find a car park wedged in between two much cleaner looking employee vehicles, and then make your way towards the building itself. You're able to get as far as the front door without anyone giving you a second glance. After all, you've been let in through the gate, and if you weren't meant to be here, you wouldn't be here. But as you step through the front doors into the abandoned reception lobby, you see a row of waist-high little boom gates, each with a card reader attached, ensuring that only those who are authorized can get into the refinery itself.
Is there anyone on guard here?
No, at this time of night, it looks like the reception is mercifully empty.
Okay, well, Marion's just going to try swiping through on her own and then passing the card back, and we'll move from there.
As you swipe the card, the machine lets out a big beep beep, and the boom gate rises, admitting you. There's just enough time for Bouncer to duck underneath before it comes down. Thunk! You check the little map on the wall at the edge of reception and find it's a short walk from here to the refining lab, or at least the offices where you arranged to meet with the others. But there's a problem. That problem is that you're going to have to pass through the office and admin areas, and the people who work here, you know this, you know business culture, Marion. The people who work here know each other. And if they see you, they're going to ask questions. They're going to ask who you are, what you're doing here, and the more and more people you have to talk your way past, the higher the chance that the word's going to reach the CEO. So I will ask a question. How are you going to get about this? How are you going to cross the facility to get to the meeting spot?
Bouncer, do you have anything useful here, quickly?
Not sneaking, no.
You also know, Marion, you've worked in several offices in your life, that generally people will not ask questions if the person they don't know has the air of being someone from further up the chain about them.
This is true. I think she's going to have to rely on that. Held high, very confident stride.
Head held high.
All right. She had ore.
Yeah. Do you have ore, Bouncer?
No.
You only have Daunt.
I have Daunt.
But
might be a little too heavy-handed so far.
That said, often the best way to pretend to be a manager who's come from up the corporate chain is to look like you're not the type of person who anyone wants to spend idle time chatting to. So a bit of intimidation might work. It's up to you.
Go for it.
So I will ask Marion to go ahead and make me a composure plus either performance or finance check. And I will ask Bouncer to go ahead and make me a composure plus intimidation check, and you may add your presence if you're activating awe.
I'm boosting composure. And I get hungrier. And, oh, thank God I did 3 successes.
3 successes, and Bouncer?
What was that one? Composure intimidation, you said, wasn't it?
Yeah, composure intimidation.
Based on how you go, I might reroll.
I'm going to reroll because of that will add a complication.
Oh, yeah, that was a messy 5.
Yeah, you don't want to mess... This is probably not wise.
Please don't kill anyone. Especially with your bane.
Yeah.
Oh.
So that would reduce it to a 2, or I can reroll.
How many did you get, Marion, on yours?
I got 3 out of 8, so I might just
So
reroll
that
on
would be 5 altogether. That sounds pretty decent.
Yeah.
Wanna just go with it?
Alright. So you cross the facility as if you belong here. A couple of times you step around the corner between 2 cubicles and find yourself face to face with one of the workers, and they always open their mouths as if they're going to ask who you are, and then they catch sight of Marion dressed in her finest business casual and Bouncer next to her, her lips pursed, the light catching her eyes in just such a way that they sparkle with a malevolence that says, "Hold me up and you'll be shit canned," and they always decide to let you through. And as you draw closer to the place that you've arranged to meet the others, you catch a most curious sight. It's just off the main office floor, at the end of a small corridor that leads to the bathrooms. There's a single thick metal door with a yellow placard simply reading "Personal effects of past employees."
Noting that for later when Cross is here.
Not going to attempt to get in yourself?
No reason to.
Yeah.
She can't
alright.
spot that stuff very well. She can, but not as well as he
As
can.
well as Cross. And so you continue on. And we cross, no pun intended, no, totally pun
again.
intended. You knew I was going to do it. To the others. Wearing your rubber boots and your gloves, you slosh up the outflow pipe. The industrial waste mixed with raw sewage gets thicker and higher. For the first couple of meters, it's as high as your ankles, and then barely 10 minutes later, it's up to your knees, and you're wading through it, feeling the force of the outflow bearing down towards you as you push through it. The enclosed concrete space is filled with a disgusting, unidentifiable stench that's a mixture of rusted metal, feces, urine.
Heightened senses is going off.
Heightened senses is going off. Mouth singeing chemicals and something else you can't quite identify, but has a strange sort of earthy, almost vitae-like tinge to it.
Oh, good.
Thanks to Wolf's rubber boots and rubber gloves, I will not make you each roll stamina to see just how much of the corrosive materials eat at your clothing and singe your skin.
That's very generous.
Instead, I would just say that you all take a point of superficial damage. Just the one.
Oof, okay.
Your extremities, your hands, your feet, seem to be fine, seem to be safe, but the rest of you, as the outflow becomes thicker and stronger, you can feel the threads of your clothes beginning to detach. You can feel the surface of your skin beginning to squirm and sting and burn. You screw up your eyes as the intense stench overwhelms, and it feels like somebody's spraying a constant barrage of boiling hot air into your faces. If you weren't vampires, you wouldn't have made it this far. You would have succumbed. You would have lost the ability to breathe, choked to death, and your body would have been forgotten under the waist-high torrent of sewage and industrial runoff. I would like Cross, Tig, and Wolf to go ahead and make wits awareness checks for me, please.
Just another day in paradise.
4.
4.
2.
2. And Wolf?
Just one.
Just 1. Wolf, you're probably just thinking about how unclean this place is, and also thinking that it would be a great place to dispose of bodies at some future point.
Daydreaming.
But Cross and Tig hear it, somewhere further down the tunnel, somewhere off in the pitch black darkness, the sound of something metal scraping against concrete. Scrape. 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 Like someone's sharpening a knife on a whetstone.
Did you hear that?
Sure do. It sounds ominous, that does.
So Wolf is tipping his glove upright to dump all the contents of liquid out of it. I don't hear shit.
Is it the way we're going? Or
Seems
can
to
we
be.
bypass it?
The pipe only heads one way.
Fuck. Alright, let me take the lead. Just in case it goes south.
What do you hear?
Metal scraping on stone.
What, like machinery? Like the machinery that's going to explode?
No. Doesn't sound like that. Tig hauls out a flashlight. Light her up and now, what do you think?
You have eyes of the beast, don't you, Tig?
I do, but if it's a person down here and I walk on him, could be bad.
How do the other two feel? Are you prepared to let Tig just take the lead and let his eyes of the beast spot any potential threats, or...
Is there any light down here?
At this point, no. You're pretty much just sloshing along in pitch blackness. You can just about make out the curvature of the concrete pipe around you, and that's it.
Okay, well, Cross is turning heightened senses back on.
Yeah. Cross, make me a willpower check, please.
Yeah, I thought that might be necessary. It would be at... Right, it has 7 willpower.
Yeah, it's good at this.
2 successes.
2 successes. As soon as you activate your Auspex, Cross, you're overwhelmed. The stenches intensify, the feeling of the sewage rubbing against your skin, the tingling of your follicles, the threads of your clothing snapping and burning away. Each becomes 100 times stronger. But with 2 successes, you're able to grin and bear it, and for the few seconds that you have your Auspex active, combined with Tig's Eyes of the Beast, you're able to detect something ahead, about 10 meters ahead of you. the figure of a man hunched over, pushing through the waste. He's not facing you, not moving in your direction. Rather, he seems to just be absent-mindedly pacing back and forth along the wall of the pipe, dragging some sort of long-bladed object behind him, grinding it against the concrete. And Cross, with your heightened senses, you can hear the man muttering something under his breath. Castoth, Castoth, Castoth. I bring it to you, Castoth. Castoth, I bathe you in their blood.
Silence of death is going on.
The sound of the sewage sloshing around Cross instantly ceases. Its body continues to push through the muck, making no sound. Tig, seeing that humanoid figure, what do you do?
No way in hell we're getting past it. Tig looks over to Cross and Wolf. Do we jump him or do we try talking?
I just let him go past.
Alright.
Freeze in place?
Yep, freeze in place, let him go past.
Right.
Hopefully.
Wolf, Cross, and Tig, go ahead and make me composure plus stealth rolls.
Oh, hey, okay.
And Cross, you may add your obfuscate to this.
Lovely. Cross has this stealth specialization in infiltration. I don't think that would apply there, would it?
No, you're just sort of hiding. You're just sort of standing still and hoping whoever this is, they just move past, don't bump into you, and don't notice that you're there.
One success on Cross's part.
Oh boy, critical 8 from Wolf.
Oh yeah, Wolf's probably done something like this before, and Tig.
I got 3.
So Cross is silent, and as the figure moves towards you, Wolf notices just at the last possible moment that Cross is standing right in the middle of the pipe, and that the figure approaching you will probably rub shoulders with Cross, realize that it's there, and so Wolf just steps forwards calmly, grabs Cross by the hand and guides it to the side of the pipe, and its silence of death means that this is all perfectly quiet. The figure draws nearer and nearer, and Tig, with your eyes of the beast, you see that this is apparently a human, a mortal human. His hair is wild, out of place, disheveled. His clothes hang loosely on his frame. His skin is pockmarked with big red welts and burn marks, and his eyes are bloodshot as he continues muttering, "Bring Castoth their blood, bring blood for the bay, blood for the bay, blood for Cowie's Bay," as he continues to drag a grimy, blood-stained, sewage-soaked butcher's knife behind him, dragging it across the concrete wall. We're saying, watch the Infernium, blood for the bay. And then he's gone, past you, heading back the way you came. You wait a few more moments for his laughs, his rambling to recede into the darkness, and then he's gone.
Good call. Alright. Let's get out of here.
How many dots in occult does Cross have, by the way?
I hope I didn't pick up on Mike. 3 plus ghosts.
So as you saw him pass, you saw his bloodshot eyes, the way his face was fixed in place, the way he muttered, the way he moved, his eyes completely vacant, not registering anything around him. And it is obvious to you, Cross, that this man is possessed. Perhaps not by a wraith, but by something.
That's possession, no doubt about it.
9/10 of the law, eh? Well, let's keep on moving.
And so you press on, forcing your way through the burning, stinking, melting torrent, until finally you reach the end of the pipe. You feel the circular trapdoor above you, and then Tig leans forwards and pushes it open, and you all ascend into a utility room just outside the processing lab, surrounded by heavy machinery. Its purpose, unknown to you, but it's humming away, filling your ears with a constant strum. Thankfully, none of it explodes. Not yet. You make your way to the door that leads out into the office block and proceed to join the others. You all reconvene in a sort of little employee lounge area that's like a nexus point between all of the little cubicle areas. A place where there's a water cooler and a couch and a couple tables laden with catalogues extolling all of Pentex's corporate products available for purchase. And Marion and Bouncer, the first thing you notice as the others step out into the little rest area is that they are absolutely filthy. Not only that, but they look like they've been through hell. Their clothes are worn, eaten through in various places, and their skin, usually pale with death, is covered in bright red scorch marks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend the pipe.
Good God.
Yeah, I'm glad we bought some PPE.
Yeah.
Indeed. We'll have to go out a different way then.
Let's get cleaned
Did you
up
notice
and,
anything on the way in?
Indeed, I did.
Yeah, there's another down there.
There's a room that might be a good lead on fetters. Look, we should get you at least somewhat clean first. This is going to raise far too much attention.
Yeah, I need some help.
So Marion leads the coterie to the room she noticed before. The metal door at the end of the hallway, just beyond the toilets and the employee bathrooms. The yellow sign attached to it reads, "Personal effects of past employees. Authorized personnel only. If you are not part of Project Infernium, please seek written permission from your supervisor." There's a card reader next to the door, but you suspect Bouncer's card probably won't work here.
Is there a visible lock?
There is no visible lock that you can see. It looks like it's all electronic.
Okay, well, I doubt this card is going to get us in here, and I'd rather not have that logged on the system. Cross, I believe you're quite good with computers, aren't you? Yeah. I don't really know what you want me to do with this, though. You can't hack in or something? I mean, actually, I might have something. In Cross's backpack, I'll let you rule on if it would have this, but it might be able to have an NFC tag reader and programmer, just like on a little Raspberry Pi or something.
That seems like something Cross would have, so go ahead and roll intelligence plus technology.
Sure. I'm gonna boost.
Yeah, go ahead, boost that.
Doesn't get hungrier.
Lovely.
And 5 successes.
5 successes.
Oh, hang on, Mary, hang on. Well, okay, the boost was irrelevant because I didn't even add it to that, but for my sake, I'm going to roll it anyway.
Yeah, see how many you get.
It would have been 5 anyway, so that's fine.
5. Okay. I rolled 4 successes for the security system, so 5 does it.
Lovely.
You watch as Cross hunches over this gizmo it pulled out of its bag, taps away on the little palm-held device, and then suddenly the card reader lets out a beep, 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 and you hear a click as the metal door unlocks. Marion steps forwards and pushes it open, admitting you all into what at some point must have just been a utility closet, but sometime recently has been converted into a storage area for the personal effects of employees that were part of the Infernium project. There's a big sign attached to the concrete wall at the back that says, "Don't touch without PVE. All is contaminated."
Okay, Marion's going to turn on... I'll use the binding fetter, and she's going to suggest the same for Cross.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I would like Wolf and Tig to go ahead and make me some wit investigation checks.
It's a 3.
This might turn up something. Let's see how this goes. Total failure.
Total failure. Right. How many... Yeah, I know it was, Ash. I know that was just techno-wizard stuff.
You would need to have the NFC signature of an actual card to be able to do anything with that in the first place, but we'll just pretend that that's how technology works.
We're playing in Movie World, so... Wolf, how many did you get?
3.
3 will be enough for both Wolf and Tig. So I would like Cross and Marion to both go ahead and do their binding fetter, which is wit plus oblivion for both.
Okay.
Wolf, you're looking around, just sort of taking in the sights of what's in this room. It seems like a meaningless selection of junk. Photos of employees' families, manila folders bound with rubber bands, uneaten chocolate bars, helmets, safety glasses. And then you see something that would be very much of interest for you, Tig and Cross. With exactly 3 successes, you notice a small cardboard box pressed in the corner of the room, behind a cabinet containing employee personal effects, and within it are exactly 3 neatly folded sets of industrial overalls. Branded, complete with the Pentex logo.
Cross, I think I have something.
What is it?
They're just overalls, but you said they could be any of somebody's personal effects, correct?
Generally, it's something important to them, but does it get anything? Cross, by the way, got 2 and Marion got 1.
3 altogether. So, I was more suggesting that Tig and Cross and Wolf could wear these to, not look like they've just come through the sewage.
Oh!
Yeah.
Right, so I thought they were the personal effects bin.
Well, yeah, but these uniforms must have belonged to somebody, and they're apparently, according to the sign, contaminated, but you're vampires. That probably doesn't mean anything to you.
Sorry, I misinterpreted that. I thought we were looking for his feathers. That's all good.
You are, but you also brought up when you were on your way here that, you might want to find a spare set of clothes just so you guys don't look out of place, which is just as well. You found them. But Marion and Cross don't seem to register that you've found them. You proffer the box to Tig and then to Cross, and Cross completely ignores you as both it and Marion focus on one of the cabinets. They quietly make their way to it, slowly pull the cabinet door open, and there, lying on the shelf, you see a Rolex wristwatch.
There.
Cross and Marion, this watch is gleaming, and it's not just because it's a Rolex, it's gleaming as if it's made of light. It's very obviously a fetter. As you grab it and flip it over in your hands, you see an inscription on the back of the clock. It reads, "For my love, from E."
Okay. This should work. I'll get to it then. Yeah, that'd be good. Thank you, Cross.
Cross, you then become aware that Wolf is like jabbing a cardboard box into your chest, and there's one folded uniform left.
Look, I know you might not care about whether you smell or not, but the rest of us do.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it'll get changed before it starts doing anything. Yeah. And after it's gotten changed, it's going to start pulling its general materials out of its backpack. Did anyone remember the Wraith's name?
Toby McGrath, it would be, if anyone.
That's right. Yeah.
Cross.
Nobody remembered.
Sorry, ADHD is rough.
Let me roll Tig's memory here. No.
So,
McGrath, Toby McGrath. I believe that's necessary. Yes. Yeah. Okay, give me a moment.
So Cross, you would have best results if you found the place where the veil was thinnest. You can try to summon Toby McGrath here in this room, or you can try to find a place where the veil is thinner. It's up to you.
Yeah, it would do. Yeah, where the shroud thins. What do I roll on that?
Yeah. So I'll have Cross do a rouse check, and then it's going to be intelligence plus oblivion.
It does not get hungrier. 3 successes.
3 successes. You see Cross's eyes roll back into their sockets, and then the black abysses are staring back at you. As Cross silently begins to make its way towards the door of the closet, pushes it out and steps back out into the office area, being drawn to where the shroud is thinnest. Cross, through your eyes, you see this place as it exists in the Shadow Realms, the cubicles replaced with pulsating cocoons of flesh and bone, each throbbing as if it contains a gigantic heart. Around you, you can feel the shroud ebbing and flowing, the frays getting wider like curtains fraying, a single tear getting bigger and bigger as you make your way through the office area towards the big set of double metal doors with a sign reading Processing Lab. And on the other side of this door, you can feel it, like a heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. The shroud is thin. Not just thin, it's been torn apart. There's barely any separation between the Skinlands and the Shadowlands at all beyond this door.
Here. I'm definitely here.
As the coterie approaches the door, you become aware of a single CCTV camera perched atop it, peering down the hallway, watching you approach. If the CCTV camera had recorded 2 women dressed in business casual and 3 masculine figures dripping in industrial waste, perhaps the AI manning the camera would have triggered an alert. Instead, it sees 2 businesswomen and 3 people dressed in workers' overalls. You pass underneath the camera unnoticed. Bouncer steps forward, swipes the card in the reader, and then, as the great metal doors shake and begin to open, a sense of overwhelming dread begins to set in. As the door opens only a crack, it's as if an unseen wind billows out, sending a chill to your very bones, and it feels as if the air grows staler, thicker, as if it begins to compress upon you.
Oh my good. Yeah, definitely here.
And as the door slowly opens, it reveals on the other side the processing lab. A large open room taken up mostly by rows upon rows of heavy refining machinery, the kind you'd find in almost any oil or coal refinery. Each of the machines on, humming extremely loudly, overwhelming your senses. But the product that's pumping through the conveyor belts and pipes is not coal, is not oil. It's lumps of what looks like soaking wet clay, deep crimson as if the clay itself is stained with blood. There are crates of the stuff. Crates of it scattered, stacked away in the corner of the room, a discarded forklift sitting nearby, having just loaded the crates into the facility. And next to that is a door simply labelled control room. And Wolf, you remember the orders that Sam gave you to be on the lookout for any references to an Andrea Church and her involvement in this. And as soon as you read the placard, control room, you know that's where to look.
I don't suppose you need my assistance to talk to ghosts, do you?
Shouldn't do, no.
Alright, I'm going to take a look around. I'll be back.
So, Wolf steps away from the others, heads towards the control room door, and as you approach the door, Wolf, you hear voices on the other side. Processing going as planned. Yeah, shame about Hans, though. For future reference, at least 2 meters away from the stuff, and PPE on when you're driving the forklift. Yeah, shame about Hans. Well, didn't take much to rinse the blood and bones off the floor, at least. There are people in the room, probably overseeing the refining process.
Wolf is going to activate Silence of Death and Unseen Passage. And try and slip through the door without them noticing that it's bumped open.
Yeah, go ahead, make a rouse check.
Unfortunately gets hungrier. That's very sad.
It's okay, it's only hunger 2, I believe.
It is, but it's still sad.
So go ahead and make me a Dex plus stealth roll and add your obfuscate for me.
Wow, that's a shit roll. That's still 3 successes, though.
You step through the door, and even though you're invisible, even though you're silent as death, the control room is not very large. It's basically a bunch of desks all pressed together, and there's a tiny little walkway between them and a huge console that overlooks the refining room. A bank of monitors, each displaying graphs and printouts, monitoring the refining process. And as soon as you enter the room, one of the people within, a man with long grey hair dressed in the white coat of a scientist, nearly bowls right into you. You press against the wall just as he steps past and begins to consult one of the consoles behind you. Go ahead and make me a wits plus investigation check, Wolf.
I'm gonna boost for this as well.
Yep.
Oh my god, he gets hungry again. Sam, he is not.
It's okay, he just needs to get what he's looking for in this room and get out, and his job's done.
That's 2 successes. I'm gonna push it.
2 successes. I'm gonna roll for...
Oh, that's 4. 4 successes.
4 successes. And they got 3 successes, so you're lucky you willpowered that. You peer over the scientist's shoulder, see what he's looking at, and it looks like he's flipping through a ring-bound folder, a collection of reports, each labelled on the productivity and applications of Infernium, each branded with a different sequence of numbers. You're about to start rifling through some of the filing cabinets and desks when the scientist folds the folder shut and places it down on the desk and returns to the console. And there, on the folder, you see the words compiled by Dr. Andrea Church. Pentex Research Incorporated. You grab the folder and begin to flip through it. Most of it doesn't make sense, but what you can glean is that Infernium, or at least what's referred to under the code name Infernium, is the miracle substance. You can power a whole city with less than a gram of it, assuming it's refined properly. It would allow Pentex as a company to continue to reap profits for centuries to come without having to worry about where their supply is coming from. But there's more to it than that. Whatever Infernium is, it's dangerous, and Andrea Church has made a note of this, that anyone who stands within a certain proximity of it is driven into bloodlust. They'll immediately seek to harm either themselves or anyone nearby, screaming a single word, Castoth! Infernium itself, according to the report, is refined from a trench at the bottom of Cowie's Bay. The last report in the folder is marked top secret, eyes only, and it explains that Infernium is not a mineral in the usual sense of the word, that at the bottom of the trench, deep within Cowie's Bay, lies the corpse of something. Something colossal, something unknowable. Andrea Church refers to the entity, the source of Infernium, under 3 different names. A Bane, an Inanime, and an Earthbound. And then she contradicts herself, saying that all of these apply in equal measure, and yet none of them do. That whatever lies at the bottom of that trench has been in Cowie's Bay since the dawn of time. It was there when the white people arrived. When colonization caused its consciousness to stir and disturbed its dreams. But it was there long before that. Perhaps it was there. Perhaps it is as old as the land itself. But whatever it is, what used to flow through its veins, what was once its blood, has congealed into the clay-like substance known as Infernium. Andrea doesn't explain why. Why digging this thing up would be something anyone would want to do, aside from the fact that its lifeblood is filled with boundless energy. Whatever ulterior motives she has, they're not in the reports. But this is evidence enough, you think, Wolf. This is what Sam was looking for. Evidence that the entire reason Elliot Dawkins defected, that the reason why all this began, why the Cowies Bay platform project was dredged up after being consigned to the back burner for so many decades, is because someone named Andrea Church reached out and convinced the Ventrue that this would let him fulfill his wildest dreams. What do you do with the folder, Wolf?
Oh, he's just gonna stuff it into his jacket. He's got what he needs.
Yeah. Will he at any point...
It's all in the report.
Yeah, it was more like a collection of reports, like over several months, and Wolf was just like skimming through them, reading the salient bits here and there.
Okay, he's definitely gonna have words to say about that if the Venture mentioned.
And will he mention this to the coterie?
There's no reason to.
Yeah. So instead, he just slides the folder into his bag and makes himself scarce. Meanwhile, in the processing lab, Cross has gathered in the small area between one of the refining machines and the crates of Infernium and the forklift. It's here. It's here, Cross. This is where Toby McGrath met his end, and here is where the veil has been torn asunder, whether through Toby's anguish or through the refining of Infernium itself, through what is very obviously not natural currently pumping through the machines in this room. Time to summon the ghost, Cross. And I believe...
Before it does, Cross just asks the coterie, do you trust him, Wolf? I mean...
Yeah, he does good work. Been working for Samantha for a while. Hasn't fucked us over yet.
I wouldn't put my life in his hands, but he has done a fair amount of work for us at this point. Okay.
Yeah, what Marion said.
Ross and Marion? Who's going to conduct the summoning? Perhaps Marion could summon it, and Cross could attempt to compel it.
Yeah, I mean, they can communicate to it at the same time, can't they?
They can.
There's no way that Marion would just leave this in Cross's hands, so yeah, they'll do it together.
So I would like Marion to make a rouse check, and she will conduct Summon Spirit.
She does not get hungrier.
Cross hands her the Rolex watch. She lays it carefully down on the floor and then bites into her wrist, dribbles blood onto the gold surface, and then the air around you begins to reverberate. The tension grows thicker. It feels as if you're being compressed through a tunnel of rubber, as if your muscles themselves are being squeezed so hard that they'll burst out of your chest cavity. And Cross, I'd like Cross to make a rouse check, and then go ahead and make, for me, a Resolve plus Oblivion check.
Cross gets hungrier, so they're now both at 2.
Oh, Cross is at 3 because it started at 2.
Oh, okay. I've been rolling 1, but I don't think it would make a difference.
Nah, it wouldn't have made a difference.
And Cross gets 4.
4. You both hear something moving. Marion, it's just the sound of rustling, like something, like you're in a forest deep at night and something is running past you just beyond the tree line, disturbing the leaves and the twigs. But Cross, you can see it. You can see the curtains that separate the Skinlands and the Shadowlands, the veil frayed, beginning to billow in an unseen wind as something dark makes its presence known, as you feel its emotions, its anguish, its terror, its anger. Beep, 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 beep. 2 things simultaneously happen. One of the refining machines begins to emit a loud beeping noise. An emergency light turns on, and the huge hulking behemoth begins to shake. Plumes of black smoke billow out. Emergency! 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 Comes a voice over the loudspeaker. Disturbance in refining array number 2. Please evacuate. Please evacuate. Explosion imminent. And then, to Cross and Marion's right, you hear the sound of a forklift tray sliding down. Thump! The sound of an ignition key turning and an engine roaring to life as the yellow forklift begins to careen violently towards you.
Have they experienced anything like this before?
No, but I will say that the Wraith rolled 7 successes.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Why? Why? Toby McGrath's voice rings out. I'll kill you. I'll destroy it all.
What was the name of the girl who sent us on this mission? The woman?
Estelle.
Estelle. We're here for Estelle.
I would like Marion and Cross to go ahead and make me Dex Athletics checks as rather than receiving any answer, the engine of the forklift roars, and it speeds up, driving towards them, seemingly intent on... Yeah, what would you like to do, Tig?
Tig would like to slide over a crate to try and, divert the forklift by hitting a wheel or making it, bump over.
Alright, so I'll get Tig to do a strength athletics check, and Bouncer, what are you doing?
So the forklift's heading towards Marion and Cross, was it? Sorry?
Yep, Marion and Cross, but also one of the refining machines is seemingly about to blow up. There are klaxons ringing, a voice is telling you to evacuate. Plumes of black smoke are pouring out of the grills.
Four successes.
4 successes? Alright. So Tig leaps forwards, grabs one of the crates and hurls it. It hits the forklift. The forklift nearly topples over, careening onto its side for a few seconds, and then it straightens itself and continues on, intent to gore Marion and Cross on its tray. But slightly off course now, meaning Marion and Cross, you get 2 bonus dice on your Dex Athletics.
Okay, okay, so that's good because Cross rolled a 3, Marion rolled a 0. Let me add to that. Marion gets a total of 2.
Marion gets a total of 2.
And Cross gets a total of 3.
Cross gets a total of 3. The forklift is wobbling, weaving, but it's moving faster than it should. The wheels are spinning so fast they look like they're about to pop off and go flying. The engine is pushing itself to such limits that sparks are flying, and crash! Marion and Cross scatter out of the way just as the forklift slams into the concrete wall behind them, the prongs of the fork slicing through their clothes, scraping their skin, and they each take 4 points of superficial damage.
Yeah.
But avoid being speared. Bouncer, what are you doing?
Sorry, how much superficial is that?
4 points each.
Jesus, okay.
Is that halved for the whole undead thing? Or is
yeah.
it straight up?
Yeah, it would have been. It was 8 damage. I'm
Oh, wow.
halving it.
Okay,
crap.
Cross is...
The Wraith rolled a critical 12, and the forklift
Oh
is a
my
+6.
god. Okay, never mind.
full
Sorry.
tracker of superficial is impairment, yeah?
Yeah, impaired.
Cross is impaired, and Marion has 1 left.
The refining machine is vibrating. Black smoke is beginning to fill the room. The klaxons are ringing. Evacuate, says a voice on the loudspeaker. Explosion imminent. Explosion imminent. Bouncer, what are you doing?
She doesn't know machines, so she doesn't know how to help with that. But I know. I guess does there seem to be any sort of like an emergency shut-off or something like that, or is it just like we just have to try and get out of the room as quick as we can?
That would be ideal, but make me a resolve investigation check or awareness.
Awareness is better, so we'll try that. I'm gonna risk a resolve boost first.
Oh, you do have that blood back.
I come to 3 because I had to heal earlier and failed that as well. Okay, that gives me 4 successes.
4 successes. You see a control panel on the opposite side of the room, beyond where Cross and Marion are cowering. A control panel labelled emergency override.
Okay, yeah, spotting that should just like cross the control panel behind you.
It's impaired. It's going to struggle to deal with that. Okay.
It's still probably got a better chance than the rest of us.
It's going to go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, alright, Cross. with a penalty die from your impairment, go ahead and make me a dexterity plus technology check. Unless Bouncer, unless you got something else.
Oh no, I was just I was just trying to remember what the stamina one impairs, but yeah.
Can I still boost?
You can still boost.
Definitely gonna boost.
You could even.
It does not get hungrier.
You could even heal one to try and get rid of that impairment.
Yeah, I will do.
Yeah.
If you wanted.
Go ahead, make a rouse check.
It still doesn't get hungrier. Okay. It's now down 4.
Yeah, now you're no longer impaired, so you can add an extra dice to the pool.
Cool, so Dex and Tech,
Dex technology, yep.
Messy 6. I'm gonna take that.
Messy 6. Alright. Here's what I'm gonna do. So Cross immediately scrambles off its feet, charges towards the control panel, wipes its brow as it hunches over, takes stock of the buttons, the various levers and pulleys, the keyboard that seems to feed directly into the console that's displaying an emergency signal. And Cross knows how to end this. It knows how to input a command that will shut the system down entirely, stop the machine, save everyone's life. But, well, Cross, there's lots and lots of buttons on this panel, and we all know Cross loves counting.
Oh, motherfucker. I'm using a willpower.
Willpower? You start. 1, 2, 3. 3 reds. 3 reds. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 yellows. 5 yellows. Ugh! You shake your head. Shake the beast's influence out of your mind and start smashing your fingers against the keyboard. You slam the enter button. The command goes in. The klaxons cease. The room is still filled with black smoke, but in an instant the machines die. The humming stops, and then, Marion, you're just about to clamber to your feet when the grill on the forklift shifts once again, and you hear the engine roar as the forklift begins to reverse and straightens itself, preparing for another charge. This is your chance, Marion. Cross is attending to the meltdown, so it's gonna have to be you. A resolve plus oblivion check, please, Marion.
Okay.
But you may also add an extra dice because you did drop Estelle's name before.
Okay, I'm also going to boost. And she doesn't get hungrier. Getting good luck with that today, at least. Resolve Oblivion +1, yeah?
Yep.
So that's 6 dice, and... Oh, I'm going to reroll that. 2 successes.
2 successes. Smash them, destroy them all! Take this whole place with me! Echoes Toby's voice, echoing from nowhere in particular around the room as the tires on the forklift squeal and it begins to charge, and Toby rolls a 1. The forklift screeches to a stop, the prongs inches away from Marion's face. The engine vibrating, spluttering, sparks flying from under the hood. Why did she send you here? Says the voice.
To help you.
Help! The only way to help is to stop them. Stop it all! Shut it down! It took my life, it took their life, it'll take everyone in this city!
Estelle just wanted us to send him, didn't she?
Yes, she wanted you to she didn't want you to just wanted you to send him back to the underworld, however you had to do it.
Okay. We can do that. We can. But this isn't helping. And she's going to look over to Cross.
Cross looks up, still hunched over the console. He nods. It nods back at you with resolve.
Now, how would Cross go about compelling it to return?
So Cross, I would ask to make a resolve plus oblivion check of its own.
Okay.
You've already got 2 successes from Marion, so I'll just add any successes Cross gets directly to the roll. And the difficulty will be 5.
Okay, I'm going to boost one more time. It gets hungrier. Okay, so it's now on 4, and it's so resolve oblivion, yeah.
Resolve plus oblivion.
It gets 4 successes.
4 successes, 6 altogether. Cross steps forwards, holds out the feather, the Rolex watch, and then it mining machines. Raises its arm as if it's about to toss the feather in. No! Shouts Toby. No! Not that! Anything but that. And Marion, what do you say to it?
Estelle gives her regards.
Estelle! I did this for Estelle! Cross lowers the feather, stares straight into the headlights of the forklift, and nods. Go back. The engine of the forklift splutters, and then sparks fly out as it dies. It hisses, plumes of black smoke begin to eke out as the engine dies. And all is silent. And the wraith is gone. The nervous executive shuffles into the boardroom, the Pentex logo on his clipboard quaking as his hands tremble. He takes a deep breath, drinking in the sight before him, the lavish, tastefully appointed meeting space where so many careers have been executed in cold blood. A sparkling bay window, offering a panoramic view of the refinery and Cowie's Bay beyond it, the city lights reflected in the water's surface like dancing stars. And seated in front of it, at the head of the table, the executioner, Elliot Dawkins, his weathered face pale white in the moonlight, his grey hair resembling streaks of ash. "Take a seat, Bergman," Elliot says calmly, carefully watching as the executive shuffles into a leather chair. "Don't worry, I'm not going to fire you. Tell me about refining array number 2. The executive lets out a sigh of relief, clutching his clipboard tightly to his chest. "Well," he stammers, "it was a false alarm, apparently. We've conducted the necessary checks. Nothing wrong with the machinery itself or the infernum, aside from the expected side effects. Yes, go on." "Yes, sir. Well, we still can't explain why the machine was malfunctioning, but it's fixed now. Operating as intended, I should say." Dawkins nods calmly, subtly adjusting his tie. "Productivity's back at what it was before the disturbance?" "Yes, sir." The executive nervously pores over his clipboard, a printout of graphs and reams of numbers. "Output is up 33% since this time 2 weeks ago. The schedule can be pushed forwards." The edge of Dawkins' lips twisted to a smile. "Good," he purrs. "Very good. We have her to thank for that." Berkman peers up from the clipboard, his brow furrowed in puzzlement. "Her, sir?" "Marion Duncern, or should I say Jennifer. She took the bait, just like I said she would. Brought the rest of the group as well. Sam Stokes' little pawns, digging their nose around in our business. Andrea said it was only a matter of time. And her lapdog found that folder, too. That'll give Sam something to chew on. She might have a little trouble keeping a handle on that. Suddenly bolt upright, Bergman scratches his balding head, his eyes wide. Wait, sir, you mean you knew they were in the facility? He lets out a deep breath, slinking back into his seat. Thank God! I thought I was going to be the one who copped the flak for all that. I was just about to send that security guard packing and... Of course, says Dawkins, his voice silky smooth. I couldn't very well ask the Hecata to deal with that wraith in our machine, could I? But I knew who he was. His records are still on file, and then, with Andrea's help... So you knew Estelle would make a move on Ms. Duncern's father? Yes, and she probably thinks it was her own idea, too. Hours later. Marion, you stand with Estelle, not in your father's study, in his bedroom once again. No, Tig, that'll be next time after Marion's done the deed and she has to try to... Yeah.
Got it.
Standing at the foot of his bed, Estelle's blood is beginning to wear off. Without Dr. Giovanni around to keep up the supply, he's burnt through it. Spent it all on his pheasant hunting, and now he looks up at you, his breathing laboured once more. I had my second wind, Marion, but everything comes to an end. Estelle looks over at him, taking in his withered old man's face, and then she peers at you. You want him around? I can keep him around. My boon to you, only... Well, you said you've been ordered to make sure it's a permanent solution.
I appreciate it, but it's time anyway. Dad...
Estelle takes one last look at him, then silently smiles at you. And then she steps away, fades into the shadows beyond his chamber door, and leaves you alone with him. The clock, the only source of noise in the room, tick, 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 about to strike midnight. Marion, come here, love, he says, reaching out a shaking, withered hand.
Quickly, is he hooked up to a morphine drip by any chance?
Indeed he is. He's hooked up to
good.
his regular assortment of drips that he was before the miracle cure.
She's gonna come close to him then, as he
Heart
asks.
monitor beeping. Beep, beep, beep. Let me touch your face, he says as he brings a shaking finger down your cheek.
I need you to be brave for me, Daddy.
I'm always brave, he says, smiling, a forced smile. I brought you through the teenage years, didn't I?
Yeah, you did. You did. But no, I really need you to be brave for me, okay?
This is it, I think, he says. Give me your hand, love. I want to feel like you're beside me as I go. Thought thought I'd been given a second chance. But you know what they say, you always get a second wind before the end, don't you?
There's always another chance, Dad.
He
And
gazes into your eyes, and as you gaze back into his eyes, what do you do?
she reaches over to press the morphine drip. And yeah, she looks into his eyes and she says, "Hold on tight." And then she bites him.
His hands grip yours, squeezing tight as the fangs go in. The heart monitor beeps faster and faster. Beep, 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 beep. You hear him groaning. No, not like this. Beep, beep. His heart ceases to beat. You drop his limp body back down into the bed, his eyes already glassy, staring up at you, staring up into nothing. And then what do you do?
She just pricks her finger and drips some blood into his mouth.
I'd like you to go ahead and roll a dice for me. Tell me if you get a success or a fail.
Oh, this is for thin blood, isn't it?
50-50 chance.
Oh, here we go. It is a failure.
The blood, a drop of blood lands on his tongue. He doesn't move. Not a single sign. His dead eyes glance up into yours. And then suddenly he splutters, sits bolt upright, looking around. What the? Marion! I've had a heart attack! Get the nurse! I
don't need to get a nurse, Dad. Just listen to me. This could take a while.
And with that, we'll end the session. That's going to be 5 experience for everyone, because the infiltration of Pentex went very smoothly. But, Marion, I would like you to reduce your humanity by 1, please.
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
Let's strike your father off your list of touchstones.
She's down to 5. And she no longer then has the conviction debts must be paid, which is going to have knock-on effects.
It could, but she has a choice. You're raising Flick. And one day, Flick is going to hopefully remember all that you've done for her. She will pay you back. For now, you're just doing Flick a favour. So depending on how Marion feels, I will allow her to slot Flick in as the touchstone for that conviction.
Oh, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one.
And
I've just struck it through on the sheet now. I haven't rubbed it out or anything. So let's...
And with that, a new kindred awakens. Another damned soul, doomed to an eternity servitude in the Hecata.